and the ability to I don't want to say quick on his feet because that's kind of cliche.
He's a jumper.
Yeah, but like,
and in X-Men he played Quicksilver.
Yeah,
So, like,
he did.
He's used to it. He's used to it, guys.
Hello, and welcome to the Original Remake Podcast, a show where we take the role of Hollywood executives, shamelessly exploiting your nostalgia for money. My name is Pat, and I'm joined by Amy.
Hello.
Andrea.
Hello.
And Nick.
Oh, hi.
And today we are discussing the 2008 Jumper. Nick, this is your pick, and I'm very glad you picked it. Give us an intro to the film.
Jumper is basically a teenager, and for all those Magic the Gathering fans out there, basically gets his spark and suddenly has teleportation abilities.
Dude, yeah.
Only to find that he's hunted by these paladins, who we find out are sworn enemies of the Jumpers. Who the hell are the paladins? Yeah, I don't know. The expedition doesn't really get there. They're just the enemies of the Jumpers.
Because that's the answer.
If you ask IMDb, it'll tell you that there's an ancient war between those like him and their sworn annihilators.
Yeah. And the reason there's a war is because, quote unquote, they always go bad. Do they? That's the ability that makes you bad. If you could teleport, you immediately turn into an evil person.
Yeah, and I mean, I kind of get that. That's exactly what we saw here. Dude immediately robbed a bank.
Well, it depends on the bank you're robbing. It's not necessarily evil.
Fair. The definition of evil needs to be explored.
Well, they said it's because it's ungodly to be able to
have those powers.
Have those powers.
Yeah, but to Nick's point, I want to feel that in the movie, right? I want to feel like this is some sort of ancient religious crusade, and it doesn't feel like that in the movie at all.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like alluded to, like they almost got there, but they didn't.
They filled the movie with a bunch of crap that wasn't needed.
Yeah. I don't think that there was too much in the movie that wasn't needed, but there was sure hell not enough that was needed. Yeah. And when you look at the runtime of this movie being 88 minutes, you had the time to do that.
That's pretty short.
It is.
So
here's
my
that's like shorter than a normal Disney cartoon.
Here's my theory on that. Back in the day, and they still do this sometimes, but back when we were growing up in the 90s and early 2000s, when they thought a movie was going to bomb really hard, they made it as short as possible so they could fit as many screenings in the opening week as possible.
Back in the day of 2008.
Yeah, back in the day of 2008. But it is one of those things where I remember they did that to the Ben Affleck Daredevil, which the director's cut is a superior film in every way. It's not perfect, but it's much better. And they cut a bunch of character work out. And so now it's just this 90-minute, like, kind of crappy action film.
Is this the Ben Affleck one?
The Ben Affleck Daredevil, they did this too. And the director's cut actually makes it far better. Again, not perfect, but I wonder if somewhere on the cutting room floor, there's like a 2-hour and 15-minute cut of this film that's more boring, but explains more and does a better job at world building.
There has to be. There just has to be. There's too many inferences to things like the paladins that they don't explain at any other point in the movie and just kind of expect you to automatically know.
Yes.
And that doesn't happen naturally or typically in a movie. Usually there's some kind of exposition, some kind of discussion between characters to give you that information, and we just don't have that here.
Some kind of noob who's the audience insert.
Right, and you have that in David, right?
Yeah, it would have almost written itself.
Right, because Griffin could have been like, "What do you mean the paladins? Of course there's paladins." Cutscene into a montage of his past 20 years of escaping the paladins.
Yeah,
because he got his powers at 5 years. Mm-hmm. And the fact that that's not there is just it's kind of tells us what you were saying, Pat, that this was hacked and slashed so that they could cram as many in before the reviews hit print, and get as much recouped out of this film as they possibly could before.
Yeah, I gotta feel bad for the director of this film, Doug Liman. He did, I believe, the first Jason Bourne, maybe all of them, but he also did Edge of Tomorrow, which is a fantastic Tom Cruise
my
movie
gosh.
That is a great movie.
bombed at the box office because they mismarketed it and butchered the execution of the release. But it was an incredible film.
3 different names or something like
Yeah,
that.
they literally changed the name of the movie like a month after it released.
He was also the director of Swingers. If you guys remember that really bad 90s film.
What? That's a great movie.
I know, but he was, I guess that was good.
It was it's a great movie. How dare you?
Completely different than like The Bourne and all that.
Yeah. Fun fact, did you know that
Mr. and Mrs. Smith, and that movie is just a fun riot.
Is that the one with Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie?
Yes, and they just like murder everything. It's great. Gotcha.
So listen, the director's got chops, right? So that's why I'm thinking that's more than anything else. He wasn't a new director. He's got a lot of credits that are like, oh, this is a great film. This is a great film. Granted, he also directed Chaos Walking, which apparently is another horrific mess of a film. My sister saw that and said it was terrible. But
Tom Holland and Daisy Ridley?
Yeah, apparently like it was made like 5 years ago and it was so bad they just didn't release it until the pandemic. There was nothing else to release. So they dumped it. And they tricked my sister into going to pay money to see it. So, but I guess what I'm trying to say is this director is good enough where I can't imagine there isn't something on the cutting room floor that could help this film's, plot issues.
Yeah. Like I really enjoyed this film. And when it was over, I was like, where's the rest of it?
Yeah.
The movie's not done. Like, I want to know more. And I feel like that if
at 88 minutes there is absolutely something.
Yeah, like
especially when you take into consideration that Edge of Tomorrow is actually 6 hours long if you get the director's cut.
I don't understand that. What I don't understand that. Like, how?
I was really confused one night. I got home from work. I'm like, you know what? I've heard about this movie. It's on streaming now. Let me look it up. Oh, there's a director's cut. Cool. It must have been on Netflix or something. I don't remember. That was years ago. And I hit go. And I like fell asleep in the middle and woke up after a long day at work, and the movie's still playing. I'm like, oh, okay, it must have been like a 5-minute nap. No, I was out for a solid 2 hours, but I was still in that exposition piece in the middle where he's learning that he's stuck in an endless loop and learning how to defeat the enemy. And there was, I
feel like you got into a position that the director really wanted you to be in.
Yeah.
Like that it, like,
I also see why it hit the cutting room floor, because it was very repetitive.
Yeah.
And nobody has the attention span for that, especially in today's society.
No.
But
I think it's funny that you experienced the same kind of vibe that the character did.
I blacked out for a minute and I jumped right back into the story and had to figure out where I was.
Yeah. And it ended up being almost the same thing over and over and over again.
Yeah. But yeah, so I mean, this and also Jumper is in 2008. If you take a look at the movies directed by Doug Liman, this is right in the middle. This is after Bourne Identity. This is after Mr. and Mrs. Smith. You said Swingers, which was like late 90s. It was after that. So he's already got some good movies under his belt by the time Jumper came around. Something happened. You had decent enough actors. And
I think Hayden Christensen happened. Did I say his name right?
Yeah.
I don't think he's a good actor. Personally.
He's the same thing in everything, but I think he worked okay in here. And I think Griffin kind of carried him.
Yeah. I thought that actor is very good. What's his name? Jamie Bell.
I wonder if this film had if the fact that its script is kind of weird was due to the writer's strike at the time. Because the last writer's strike prior to the one that we're seeing right now was November 2007 through February 2008.
Oh.
And this was
That's possible.
released February 14th, 2008. So
Interesting. So
I
they
mean,
may have been getting low on the barrel and just kind of rushed something out.
yeah, like
Yeah. I mean, there's that old story of like Daniel Craig having to rewrite some of the James Bond movie they made during the writer's strike because the writers weren't allowed to, so he wrote some scenes by himself.
Uh-huh.
maybe not, because it looks like they filmed this in 2006.
Yeah, but they might have gone back for might have not been able to go back for
Oh.
reshoots, for example.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you have to
So-
deal with whatever you actually got in 2006, especially if the strike happened in 07.
Yeah.
Because you can't rewrite some scenes that just don't work.
Yeah.
Before we move on from the director, can I just list two of his upcoming projects? One of them's called Live, Die, Repeat, and Repeat, which is a sequel to Edge of Tomorrow.
Are you serious?
It's in development, so it's not like filming right now, but
Oh boy.
and then there's in pre-production, I don't know if you've heard of this, but there is a Tom Cruise movie that they're trying to make where he actually is going to go into space and film on the International Space Station. Have you heard of this?
Jesus, okay.
No,
And they're
but
going to
I
have the
believe it.
first,
Of
the
course
first,
he is.
yeah, the first film actually shot in space, and apparently he's going to be the director on that as well. So those both sound really cool. Yes.
Question.
Don't mess it up.
Will he be in a spacesuit strapped to the outside of the rocket like he was on that plane in Mission Impossible, doing his own stunts?
I mean, possibly.
I bet he would try.
Will he be talking about Scientology during this?
Hopefully not, but you never know. Anyways, but before we moved on, I just wanted to say that out loud for the audience's benefit. Those are some fun things to look forward to.
I want to know why Nick picked it.
Yeah,
Now,
why
what do
did
you
you
want-
pick this?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so good question. We have a giant list of movies that are in our pending a recast queue that when we started this almost 5 series ago, we kind of assembled, and I went back looking through that list because I was like, you know what, I hit the ones I wanted to. What should we look at next? And I kind of just scrolled down the list. I'm like, that movie, I remember that movie. It was not great, and I bet we could make it better.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what happened.
I think I say this a lot, but films that are worse because they could have been so much better are perfect picks for this podcast.
Yeah.
Like Jupiter Ascending, and again, Jumper is a perfect pick. Like, there's something here, and it's just a giant missed opportunity to have an entertaining, a cool cult film, right? It's very easy for a film to turn into like a John Wick, where it turns into like kind of like its own cultural phenomenon. But there are plenty of like movies that could be like the next John Wick that are just not, because they don't have kind of that something, that little special sauce that makes them stand out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like I really want a Guns Akimbo too. Like a Guns Akimbo, Akimbo. Like, come on. That was fantastic.
Would he have guns strapped to his feet? Like what? What would be the sequel to that? Like how he lives life with mangled hands?
Daniel, is that a gun in your pocket, or are you just happy to see me? No, it's a gun in my pocket.
This is, he finally gets his hands fixed and then sucked back in, Liam Neeson, Taken style. That man has the worst luck with his family. You know, something like that, where he just gets his hands fixed. We get a montage of years of physical therapy, and then all of a sudden he's dragged back down into the criminal underworld, and they strap guns to his hands again. I would be here for it.
Yeah, it's again, there's something special about that movie, regardless of its quality or lack thereof.
Listen, we weren't there for the story. Not initially.
It's like this movie's just okay, but Hardcore Henry is very similar. It's like a first person shooter. Okay. It's not great, but the gimmick makes it unique. Right?
Okay.
Oh, I remember that movie.
Yeah.
It did have a different view. Literally.
Yeah, it's literally like a first-person shooter.
Literally.
The whole movie.
Oh boy.
I meant it was different than what was out.
Might get nauseous.
Fair. Yeah, you might, yeah. All right, but let's get back to Jumper and kind of talk about some of the things we liked and didn't like about it. Nick, do you want to lead us off on some, what when you watched it, back in the day, what's the thing that kind of made you really want to like this very subpar film?
So I loved the idea of the superpower, right? Like, that's such a great idea.
Yeah.
Being able to just poof, teleport anywhere. If you've seen it, like, and I like the restrictions that they put on the superpower. I think there should be more. But there's this idea of you have to have been there, you have to have seen it to be able to go there. And I wanted to see the development of that idea. I've talked about this in previous podcasts, but what I think really makes a story good is laying the framework of some new idea, some new story, and then also giving yourself some restrictions to work inside, and then finding creative ways to get outside of that box that you put yourself in.
Yeah.
And I think this has a lot of that opportunity. I think giving the jumpers the ability to teleport anywhere in the world so long as they've seen it is an overpowered superpower. But we don't know the caveats. We didn't really get into that in this movie. And changes I could talk about it a bit more, but I'd love to see what happens when you jump to a place that you have a picture of that's been torn down and rebuilt as a something else.
Yeah.
Are you inside a wall now?
Right. Can you teleport? Because like they teleport cars with them. And it's like, do you ever get like stuck in the steering wheel?
Like, I'm sorry, the teleporting a car with you was the stupidest thing I'd ever seen.
Or the surfboard on top of the what was he on top of? He was sitting with eating like some Taco Bell or something fast food.
Oh, that was on top of a Sphinx.
A Sphinx.
In Egypt.
Yeah, okay. In Egypt. It just, I don't know.
Like, I get small things, stationary things you picked up and hold in your hands because your clothes go with you, for example.
Yeah.
Thank God. But like, but the car, there was a scene where Griffin is driving like a crazy person, and the car like jumps a half a dozen times up through the air, bounding off of buildings, and it was a cool effect. But I feel like in that scene, it was asking me to suspend a little bit too much disbelief.
Yeah, and to kind of combine this with our discussion on the lack of world building, I wanted more of like, one of my big problems with this film is the old trope of the character too dumb to have a power and hide it from the public.
Yeah.
I don't understand that.
It's being dumb so that the plot can advance.
Yeah.
But like, for example, one of the cool things you do as a jumper is have a room with no doors. Right.
I loved that idea.
Right.
They did that with the closet.
Yeah,
they did that with the closet, but when they get to like Griffith's hiding spot, imagine that, but like if you were able to jump around and do a bunch of stuff, you could find like a hidden room, like in like an old underground ruin or something like that, or like a hidden room in like a pyramid that no one's found, because they still find them every now and then. And if you're able to find those, you could have your own kind of like literal hideaway that no one else knows about. And I think that's a really cool concept that they didn't really explore.
I think that also plays into the restrictions I was talking about, though, because you need to better define those. How do you get to a room with no doors if you've never seen it and don't know what that space is to get there?
Right.
Like, but the way we're seeing it, like, David teleports to Griffin's lair through the like remnants of his teleportation portal, and now can forever get back there.
Yeah.
That opens so many doors. Like, you could be introduced to this crazy old kook that is been a jumper for the last 60, 70 years and is the last remnant of the old jumper council or something, and gives you access to these secret rooms all over the world that were built hundreds of years ago that nobody knows about.
I like that.
We never got the opportunity to even entertain that. We just jumped in with, here's jumpers, deal with it. I want more. I want more exposition. I want more rules. I want more world building.
I wonder if the books go into that more.
That I don't know. That's on my list to get to. Let's check out those books.
I saw that the books are YA, and I was like,
oh God.
Yeah,
okay.
I know. And that's why they're still on the list and haven't been read yet.
Yeah.
I'll get to them when I run out of must reads.
Yeah. For me, I think again, it's all about missed opportunities with a lot of these films, and this included. I mentioned the character being too dumb to know when to use his power. There's a whole bunch of like,
that character
again,
did seem pretty dense though. Like,
yeah, but
did seem fairly stupid.
I mean,
or was that just Hayden Christensen?
Seriously, they have this guy like jump into like bars. Like, does no one notice the dude
this guy
appearing in the middle of the rooms and shit?
And that was supposed to be years after he's been doing it.
Right. And so that was...
I could see that. I mean, especially when was the last time you were out to a bar or restaurant or something? Most folks are intentionally trying not to pay attention to anyone else's anything going on. And when they see something weird, they just kind of shrug it off.
But
I mean, eventually you would notice. So you would notice,
I don't think that much when I'm watching a movie.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm perfectly willing to suspend my disbelief, but I would like some effort put into the I don't want people to know about my power part of it.
Yeah, like teleport into the bathroom or something.
Yeah.
Right. And another thing I hate about this film is like they just let you go to the bathroom that's next to the safe. Like,
yeah. Yeah,
that annoyed me.
Like that was some like Ocean's 11 conveniency type stuff there. And this was 7 years after Ocean's 11, so maybe there was some influence there because it was a bit heist movie for a hot second there.
Yeah,
but like that was too convenient. That safe was next to that bathroom for plot armor reasons only.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And especially since like he could see through the bars into the safe, the bathroom doesn't matter.
Correct.
Well, that's the thing,
right? You could walk in, you could have it like some character development, like he's like a good guy that never does anything bad. You could have it so in order to get to the safe to get your first lot of money, you have to like walk in that bank with a gun, get down to the safe, watch the safe, and then like run into the bathroom and disappear. And then come back later and teleport in. I want there to be like some sort of like he has to do actual bad things to other people in order for his power to work. So that there's actual some like moral, reason not to do it, right?
Yeah.
For the character, I don't like it. I would much rather see him like open a safety deposit box to get in there. And be like, I'm going to open a box. I need to see where my goods are being stored, and just, any excuse to get in there.
Yeah.
But for story and plotline development reasons, and giving character Roland a reason to hate him and hunt him more than because he exists, I could see something like that, especially when he's in that naive, I'm a super hero / villain, who knows, I just have superpowers stage.
I really hated how he did seem to be aware that a camera would pick him up in the safe of a bank. Like, a safe is gonna have cameras just like the rest of the bank.
Well, he also thought he was the only one.
But it's 2008. With the Facebook is a couple years old by now. People have cell phones with cameras on them, not great ones, and yes, there are definitely recordings of you jumping places, right?
Yeah, but like he legitimately thought he was the only one on the planet that had that capability.
Yeah,
until he met Griffin.
Yeah. I mean,
so it's completely reasonable to believe that a cop watching that film is going to think, oh, there's something wrong with the camera. It's got to be glitched out. There's no, what am I seeing here? None of this makes sense.
But when all the money's gone, you're going to put two and two together and be like, oh.
But what did you see with the cops in the beginning when we met Roland? They were just like, I don't get any of this. How does any of this work? And they were just like dumbfounded, and we're like, well, that sucks. I hope you've got insurance, to the bank. And Roland's like, I'm with the FBI or National Bank Service, or make up some credential here to get in and get information to hunt this guy down, because he's the super secret police against jumpers.
I agree. I agree with pretty much everything everyone said. I think generally speaking, the plot of this movie is so, it's literally a 2000s movie in that regard, right? Where like there was this, and Marvel movies are doing it now, where there was a bunch of movies where like the plot making sense doesn't particularly matter to the film, right? Like and we went, and I think Marvel films are doing this a lot nowadays, where it's like, what about this and this and this, and we're like, don't worry about it. You know what I mean? We'll hand wave it away. They've
also set their universe in a universe where everybody knows that there are superheroes out there, so they can walk around the streets, they can pop around everywhere, and they kind of pull into that gimmick. It can't work in this movie just now.
Yeah,
you know.
Right.
One thing I think they did very poorly, and again, maybe this is the technology or the budget, or the technology at the time, but like, does anyone else feel like the jumping itself was very unimaginative? As in, yeah, you can jump to the top of tall buildings, but like at some point when there's risk happening, you should jump somewhere randomly. You know what I mean? Like you could theoretically jump into the middle of the Atlantic Ocean and have a great chance at not hitting something that's going to kill you. And then from there, you can jump somewhere else.
Yeah.
I just felt like, you know, the idea of like jumping should be, they should take more risks in the film, especially in the later part of the film. I think towards the end that does happen once, where he kind of just like randomly teleports to a place, if I'm not mistaken.
I think he tries to teleport somewhere, but it's like super stressful, and he ends up back in the library where it all began.
Yeah, that's
poor
what it
library.
Is,
yeah.
It felt so bad.
That was a nice tie-in, though. That was a nice tie-in.
Yeah, I like the idea that like your first jump is like kind of like a core, like a keystone.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like you always remember like this random place. It's almost like
that's your safe spot,
right? If you're in like X-Men, right? There's always like a trigger to get your mutation.
Yeah,
it's kind of like that, but for this movie. One nice thing I'll say about the movie is I like that everyone has the same power. So in a lot of superhero movies, both, you know, back in quote unquote the day, but now as well, the amount of superhero powers is everywhere. Everyone can solve every problem. And with the fact that it's teleportation only, and a very specific form of teleportation, means that you have limitations on it. And again, Nick and I will definitely talk more about like what limitations we'd like to see. But there's things you can't and can't do, right? You can't dodge bullets, for example. Right. Whereas like that happens all the time, where in superhero movies, someone's too fast for bullets, or they're literally bulletproof, right? I'd like there to be consequences if someone points a gun at you and pulls the trigger. And in this film, I think there's enough, you know, the powers are limited enough for the consequences. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and to expand on that, to what you're saying, for someone who might not have seen the movie, anytime you jump, you leave this little trail behind you. So even if you jumped out of the way of a bullet, that bullet is still following you through your little.
You create like a wake. Yeah. It's like a time, or it's like a travel wake thing.
Yeah, and it only lasts a few seconds, unless you're Samuel L. Jackson, then it lasts a few minutes. We'll get to that. But yeah, that's what I was talking about, restrictions, limitations. There needs to be a cooldown, if you will.
Yeah.
Like there needs to be,
like you can't immediately jump right after you just did.
Or no, not necessarily that, but like your skill with jumping could define that, or the distance at which you jump. could define that.
Right.
Or
this is going into a little bit. There's this going a little bit into changes, but one of the ideas I liked is actually from the Flash, which is you consume a lot of calories by jumping. So like if you don't eat lots of calories when you're jumping, you literally get tired and can't do it right. I mean, if you run a marathon and then are asked to run another marathon and then another marathon, eventually you just can't run anymore, right? Like you have to like limp. So kind of like having a limitation on that regard would be nice.
Yeah, absolutely.
I really loved how they like had to reimagine how someone who's a jumper can fight Bo. Like I know you said that you guys want like this is probably for changes and how there should be like more restrictions, like how you can't jump right away or whatever. But I really liked how they had to kind of rethink. Like they had to sort of reimagine how someone who could teleport would fight. Like maybe they can, give themselves. It's like the game Portal.
Yeah,
that's what we talked about. Yeah. We talked about that. It was like, so in the game Portal, you place a portal on the wall and then you jump into it and
speedy thing goes in, speedy thing comes out.
Right. Exactly. It's like you gain more momentum the more you go through the portals because you're just going faster and faster.
And one of the things I did like about the film is that the paladins actually have interesting ways to track and follow them, including, like Nick, you referenced being able to keep a portal open for a period of time with some sort of device they have. Yeah. Their weapon is like an electromagnet like whip that can like trap them there.
Which was kind of fucked up.
It's like
it's really cool. I like it.
Taser whip.
I mean, it was cool, but it was brutal.
But it's awesome that there are actual ways like the bad guys aren't just running around with guns hoping to shoot them with bullets. You actually want to stop them from jumping or follow them to their lairs. I really like that kind of, they're almost like vampire hunters in that way, right?
I was thinking.
Yeah, you got to get the garlic and the steak and follow them to their lair,
And then you were talking about the whole like religion. It's ungodly. That's basically how all vampire hunters felt.
Yeah, I like that.
And with this movie only being 88 minutes long, we could have absolutely had a Roland follow through where we watched him hunt the guy. So in the movie, we meet Roland when he's trapped a jumper in a tree, and this entire like forest is just lit up with taser whips and taser wires and whatnot to keep the jumper from jumping out. And we absolutely could have expanded on his journey to find that jumper and the methods that the paladins used, and that could have been another excellent exposition point for where the paladins came from and what their perspective is and why they do what they do.
Before we get into changes, because we're kind of flirting with changes, before we get to those, let's talk about the end of this film, because it's very much set up for a sequel. Diane Lane plays his mother, who's in the movie for like 5 minutes, but she's a hunter a paladin that's gonna hunt them, and so that's set up.
Paladins.
Yeah. She has a daughter who is an up and comer at the time, at least, Kristen Stewart. Kristen Stewart.
No, she had just finished Twilight. I don't know if she was an up and comer.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
Twilight came out first.
Oh, I did not know that.
I didn't know that either.
Okay. So someone who's obviously going to be big in the sequels. Samuel L. Jackson is left alive, which I really like. And so there's definitely set up for a sequel, and I'm assuming the books, have sequels as well to them as well. So we left we left the film kind of in the middle of the story, and part of me really wanted to see what came next.
Oh, I apologize. Twilight came out in November 2008, whereas this movie came out in February 2008.
Valentine's Day.
Yes.
Actually.
But she'd already been in like movies like Panic Room, which was really fun. I liked that a lot.
That's a great movie. Yeah, she was coming out of her child actor right? That this was the year she was coming out of being a child actor and more into like
adult acting. Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
like late teens, adult action, adults, that type of thing. So,
But Pat, I agree with you. The ending was the only thing I was looking forward to when I saw the end. I was thinking in my head, how do I explain this? I liked the storyline of him and his mother being both Jumper and Hunter.
Yeah.
How do you say that word?
Paladin.
Paladin. And that I kind of changed the whole movie concept because of that.
I mean, it would have been such a cool movie if we talked about that more.
Yeah.
Well, that was clearly all set up for the second movie.
Yeah.
True.
Like, that second movie was going to be, P.S. You have a sister, and the reason I left you at the age of 5 was because, well, I'm a paladin and I hunt people like you. And when I found out you were going to exist, I had to hide and suppress that. So, like, I gave you the greatest gift in the world by not just ending you while you were 5 years old, but also we're going to have to come to terms with being mortal enemies now. Like, the plot for the second movie is already written.
Correct.
But
and honestly, you could have done that in the first movie and just got rid of the whole romance part.
You could have. You absolutely could have.
When it's not romantic,
Amy's
when you
movie.
kidnap a woman and take her on vacation.
Basically what I just wrote. I just told you what my storyline was.
All right, so let's jump into.
I have a note in my notes that says Nick seems to have a habit of picking movies that prematurely end. And I can't think of any of the other movies that you've picked that do that. So I don't know what I was thinking when I wrote that.
I don't know, because no?
I'm trying to think.
Because this movie
picks?
Definitely prematurely ends. But
maybe you meant set up for seconds. Ready Player One could have been another one, but there was another book. Was there?
He did In Time, which doesn't really end prematurely, but it does end weirdly.
Could set up for a sequel.
In Time does end prematurely because there was so much more I wanted to know.
Masterminds. He did Masterminds.
Into the future of Masterminds.
Which ended it was too long.
Needed a second.
Yeah. Needed a sequel. I want to know how Patrick Stewart got out of that shit canal.
I guess I was just thinking of In Time, but that's only one movie, so I don't know why I wrote that. I'm sorry.
Well, now this is 2, so it's officially a track record. So Nick, get it together. Come on, bro.
Oh my god. Okay.
All right, let's move on then.
Or changes.
Let's move on to changes. Nick, this is your pick. So do you want to lead us off on kind of some of the big beats that you'd like to change in the film?
Okay. So the biggest change that I think needs to happen in this film is depth. There is none. We get that cool power bro part of the movie where you get to experience through the eyes of the main character this cool new teleportation power, but that's it. It's just a bunch of that for an hour, and then some story about how he's hunted for a few minutes, and it's like, why are there jumpers? Where do they come from? Why are there paladins? Why do they hate jumpers? Why are they fighting in the first place?
What happened?
Yeah, what started this all?
Was there a did Jumper accidentally, jump into collide in midair with a paladin or something and blew him up? Or did they what was there some kind of conflict?
Why are they called paladins?
Right.
Is there any sort of
Did we look up what the meaning of the word is? Maybe it's something ancient.
No,
paladin is a
it's like a religious knight.
Yeah.
And that kind of on its own makes you ask, why are we calling them paladins?
Right.
What religion are we worried about here? Just why the hatred? There's no backstory, and we desperately need it. There's no origin story. It's just boom, this guy accidentally teleports from underneath the ice in a frozen river into the middle of a library. Story begins. That's all we're given.
It makes me so sad that we don't know more, because the movie's so fun.
It is fun, and I think it could be more fun knowing having any sort of depth to the story.
Yeah. So I don't want to go on like a 20-minute tangent about the exact type of movie I would make, as I do sometimes. But one of the things I thought would be cool is like, okay, they're called paladins, and I love when movies do this. Is they take some sort of historical event and they turn it into a real part of the movie. So they're called paladins, so you can think that Christianity has been hunting the jumpers for a significant amount of time, and you can have the spread of Christianity be in service of hunting jumpers across the world. So like the Crusades.
The Crusades are actually to find the jumpers.
Jumpers, yep. The Inquisition, the
Nobody
spreading of Christianity. Yep. No one expects a jumper, right?
So it's kind of like National Treasure, only instead of the Masons covering up a giant treasure,
yeah,
but they're by.
It's the largest religious group on the face of this planet.
Yeah,
think about
the Age of Empires, right? Like Europe spreads across the world, conquering all, enslaving all. Imagine part of that motive being, we got to find all these jumpers and wipe out the bloodlines of like this weird evolution of humanity.
That really changes the story, though. It's a whole different story.
I don't think it changes the contemporary story of what we watched in the film.
It just gives it a cool history.
I guess if you want to put the backstory somehow into it, yeah.
Like for example, I talked about John Wick, right? And John Wick, part of what makes John Wick cool, even though it makes no sense, because not everyone in New York City can be an assassin, is like this secret society of assassins that's like behind, and there's just like hotel in like plain sight that's secretly like a secret society for assassins. That stuff's super cool, even when it doesn't make sense. And it never makes sense because secret societies don't make sense. But, you know, just kind of like a little bit of the Indiana Jonesing would be nice, right?
Yeah.
Like take 5 minutes and explain what the Ark of the Covenant does or something. You know what I mean? Like, to that end, and again, without wishing to stand on a sandbox and redo the whole movie here, but Diane, yeah, soapbox,
sandbox,
soapbox,
kitty box,
soapbox, sandboxes.
Listen, sandbox could work if he's just vomiting shit from his mouth.
Yeah,
Andrew's correct. It is a soapbox.
Listen, you guys know I'm not good at words. You guys make me do words.
At least you know jumping the shark. I didn't know that.
That's true. You did not know what that meant. Diane Lane's character, the mother, instead of being a paladin, I would make her one of the remaining bloodlines. And I'm not even joking. Her plot in the movie is she just goes around and like 3 times a year just bangs dudes. Or not 3 times a year because that's impossible, but once a year, bangs out a baby, abandons it with the dad, and just fucks off to another country and does the same, so that the jumper gene keeps propagating.
It's a whole different movie. Pat.
No, listen to my headcanon. It's cool. It makes it a cool movie.
Stretch.
I like where your head's going with that. I don't think it actually works. But
will they all eat mushrooms and go down the toilet too?
But if you made her
Mario
some
Brothers?
if you made her like some mad scientist who's figured out the DNA of it and is doing some retrovirus thing, injecting random people around the world.
Yeah, that'd be fine too.
Like, you're still getting the whole propagation of the bloodline thing.
That's a lot of sexually transmitted infections going around the world there, potentially.
It's just one person.
With how many men?
It's just one girl.
She only picks virgins. Problem solved.
Oh Jesus.
Problem mostly solved.
No wonder the Christians are after her.
Weird X-rated parody movie, Pat.
True.
I see where you're going with that.
Yeah.
Like what movie was that? Like Underworld.
Yes.
Kind of that vampire movie.
Yeah.
Like we protect the bloodline. And I can see where you're going with it, but I think if we're gonna keep these characters as humans, and not say, oh well, jumpers have long life or something like that. If we're not gonna play with the basics of physiology in any sort of way for this movie, I don't think running around the world popping one kid per year out really helps the bloodline.
Well, that's true. But if, again, in my head canon, if they stay hidden and they have kids, then
there is a way to fix it, though.
Okay, go for it.
Instead of having an abusive father, you have an abusive mother, and the one that ran away was a father, and the father's going around just seeding every field he can.
You know what? That does make more sense. Yeah.
I don't have kids in parallel.
Yeah. Can I be honest though? I know that the kid's father in the movie is not the played by Michael Rooker, excellent actor. He's not like the best dad ever, but like
he is though.
The character makes him seem like he's like physically abusing him, and he just seems like an alcoholic who's kind of like cares about his kid.
He's just sad that his mother left him.
Yeah, he's just a down on his like alcoholic Midwestern dad. If that's abuse, I got some bad news for everyone.
And
we were all abused.
He doesn't let Roland know where his son is, and he takes his life for his son.
Yeah, loyal as fuck.
He could have been drunk at the time, but
see, I read into that in more of a movie cliche kind of way.
Yeah.
Where they weren't going to show us the abusive father bits, but we can see it how David had a lock on the inside of his room to keep his father out. And it's that kind of lock that you have to, it's the chain lock where you have to slide it on. Yeah. So you're only putting that thing on when you're actually in the room. So why is he protecting himself from his own father? And I saw the whole sacrificing himself to Roland to protect his child thing as kind of a guilt or penance for being such a bad father. If we're going to stick with like cliche movie tropes.
Fair.
That's just kind of how I read it. And especially since this movie does absolute shit job at exposition and explaining what they intend. Like, I don't think that's too far of a leap to kind of pull that together.
Fair. So far as like the jumper's ability goes, we kind of already covered this. I wanted like some sort of like energy restriction. Does anyone else have any ideas for like how you would restrict a power like this so that you can come up with like interesting scenarios?
Yes, and I kind of alluded to it when we were going over the overview, but there needs to be limits to and like you were saying, how the Flash has calorie intake. There needs to be some kind of limit to jumping. If you jump a certain distance or with a certain amount of things, you get tired. You can call it a calorie intake if you want, but we're not talking about characters like the Flash here who are quite literally inhuman at that point.
Yeah.
We're talking about humans with a weird ability.
I think what would be cool, and I like the idea that you said about how they're just ordinary humans that happen to be able to teleport. I think what would be cool is to kind of like figure out what a teleport would do to the human body and have that be the limitation. Like you can't, you have
a physical limitation. You teleport and you're like your body can only take the trauma of teleporting X amount of times.
Maybe it takes energy so that it actually makes your body hot, and if you teleport too many times, you literally what's it called, combust.
Spontaneously combust.
Yeah, if you teleport too many times, like the fifth time you do it, you're like smoking if you do it too quickly.
I like that because then you could also have like a common myth, or not common myth, but like
the
old folk tale. How people have spontaneously combusted in their rooms and stuff like that. You can take these folk stories and tie it into the actual storyline of the movie, being like, no, you guys remember that story about that guy who went to bed and just spontaneously combusted in his bed? Well, funny story there. That was actually a jumper, and he was jumping back home after 6 in a row. And well, he found his limit, and he just caught fire and died right there on the spot. Or
but that would also kind of
like that.
Kill the cool, like how
the
like
rapid fire jumping thing.
Yeah, and that would kind of like shoot the neat idea of being able to fight in a different way in the foot.
I don't know.
It doesn't ruin it. It just there's risk.
Yeah, it limits it.
So if you're fighting Samuel L. Jackson and you've teleported 3 times, you got to be really careful. The next jump you make has got to be really important because you're already starting to get hot. And then if they keep following you, all of a sudden they've cornered you, and that adds tension to the film. You know what I mean? That's the thing we need to add we need to add tension to the act of the teleporting.
So it naturally asks the next natural ask would be, are you like internally heating up, like your core body temperature is heating up, or is it the portal that you're going through is got a certain heat element to it and you are heating up by going through it?
I would have your body heat up, like literally the cells in your body like rub together faster or something like that. You know what I mean?
Or they're just expending an amount of energy that is atypical and giving it off as heat.
Yeah. Did you not like my phrasing of cells rubbing themselves together in your body?
No,
I didn't like it. I'll say it right
juvenile.
now.
You're very juvenile.
No, I was giggling at the fact that you guys were trying to make something impossible possible.
It's not impossible.
I mean, teleporting in general is impossible, so like I don't think we're too far off. No, I like that as a limitation. I was also going to say something along the lines of like they have an internal battery, right? And that battery is drained by the number of jumps or distance of jumps or the stuff that you bring along with you. Like if you're carrying a surfboard, well, that's going to deplete your internal battery, your internal reservoir, because that gives you, from a story perspective, the ability to pull a move out of a Dresden novel and just, have a stronger bit of will and do what they did in the end of this movie where he tried to jump an entire building and he jumped like a whole section out of this building.
Yeah.
Didn't they say that there was one guy who attempted it and he like killed himself or he died?
I think the building,
something?
like he literally put the building on top of himself, right?
Yeah. I think limiting the amount of jumps though would make it mean more, because like when he's jumping for like surfing or getting food or whatever, it's just stupid.
Well, I mean, if you had the ability to just, instead of walking across the room, just blink your eye and you're at the other side of the room, wouldn't you?
If I had no consequences, maybe.
Exactly. And that's kind of what we're talking about here is if you had consequences, if there was a limitation to it, would you now?
No.
And probably not, because you don't know what walking out your front door is going to land you in, and you want to have a jump available to get away at all times. You're a blue player. You want 1-2 mana up at all time. So I like the idea of limiting
it. A very small section of our audience is going to understand that joke.
Whatever.
You see, kids, I played blue in a game called Magic the Gathering, and I always had mana open to stop people.
And that makes him a bad person.
Yes.
I say no to people.
That's why I kind of like the idea of something that can be flexible. Like, yes, there is a limit, but we're not going to tell you exactly what it is or how it works. We're just going to say that there is a limit so that we can push the bounds in a climactic moment or a moment of high tension. Being like, dude, you've already jumped 6 times. Do you got another one? I have to. I gotta one more time, or some, to drum up that tension. Like, whereas if you're just too like warm or hot or whatnot, like, doesn't that put in kind of a different limit?
Yeah.
But isn't that sort of like, I just gotta do one more? Like, that's really cliche.
It is.
But it's a cliche that if it builds tension, then the cliche is fine.
Right. If it does what it's supposed to do, then it's there for a reason.
There's bad cliches and there's good cliches, right? Or tropes.
Try and watch a single episode of any Star Trek and tell me you don't run into that. And then also tell me that you still like the episode.
Right. And it makes the episodes where they don't follow the trope even better, right? When they kill off a character when normally everyone gets back safe, you know.
Yeah, because you're building that repetition, that expectation, and all of a sudden you subvert it. There's a space for it.
Yeah, this is especially true for like books. You know, when you're storytelling in a novel, it's the tropes are there for a reason, and how you use them or misuse them is important. But it's really hard to write a story that doesn't have some sort of trope in it, and it's just about using the right ones and making them fit with the world.
Yep.
And the characters.
Yeah, I agree.
I agree with you too.
I've got a couple other things, but I don't want to take up all of the time. Does anyone else have stuff they want to throw out there for changes?
I've seen your notes. We're
changes?
in agreement on quite a few of these.
Yeah.
I'll do a very quick.
Yeah, do a change. Take as much time as you want to do the change.
I like the concept of the movie. I did not like the romantic aspect of it. I thought it was very flawed. I don't know if it was the acting, if it was the not romance, chemistry between them. And then Pat just told me they were married.
Yeah, that's how you can tell they're bad actors. They're dating and they still don't believe them.
And I don't know if it was writing. There's no way someone wouldn't see somebody 2 years from whatever and then still have those feelings. But anyways, I took that whole thing out. Absolutely took the whole thing out. I kept the alcoholic dad in. I said it in the 80s or early 90s where there wasn't as much technology.
No cell phones.
A little bit more believable that someone could disappear and then nobody noticed a trace.
Yeah.
You could with an electric bolt just remove the recording of a VHS, right?
I did keep the whole traumatic experience thing, and I made the girl a little bit older just because in my mind I thought this was a shy kid who had like sort of long-term feelings for this older girl in high school. She ended up just wanting to be friends. This traumatic thing happened, not in the lake because that was stupid, but I think it more to do with something at night at a party, and he learned the whole thing, and just it went from there. He tried to run away.
So I agree with getting rid of the majority of the love story.
Yeah,
because it's just so damn awkward in the majority of the movie.
They have zero chemistry.
Who agrees to fly to Italy when someone you thought was dead shows up? Like, it's red flags everywhere.
It's just weird. But in the beginning of the movie, the stressful event that happens that allows the main character David to kind of figure out that he can jump, that he's a jumper,
ignites his spark. That's all I want to say.
It's his spark.
It's like I literally said that. I was like, this is true. Like,
yeah.
But the thing that gets him to the point of being able to jump is heightened because of his crush on his best friend.
Yeah.
She's his best friend.
Well, no,
she is. He has feelings for her, and then he's mocked by kind of the bully. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I can assure you, for teenage boys, that is traumatic.
I mean, yes.
But can confirm.
I wouldn't keep it like 10 years from now. There would be no narrative. He wouldn't be talking about what happened to him. I hate the narrative aspect. It would stay in his age, and he would run away. And
so how would you deal with the shenanigans that ultimately get him in trouble? What's the because that's what happens. Like he's letting his guard down and not doing what he would normally do to keep himself safe for 2 years
I would
because he's with the SO.
Yeah, I would keep the mother storyline. So this mother only visits him once a year and he doesn't know why. His dad is always, so he goes and tries to find her. And eventually he goes, and it goes back and forth. And
the mother would know, right? So maybe she gives him up after she finds out something, you know?
Well, in my storyline, the father tries to call the mother and then the mother goes and finds him. And it's too late because somebody's already, like, in this whole process of him finding his mom, he learns this ability. He's like, oh, I can jump from place to place. And so that's what happens. I've got an idea
based on what you were saying. It's very similar. What if instead of, you know, jumping around Italy or whatever, going to Rome and walking around the hidden parts of the Colosseum with your would-be girlfriend, you never got over mommy leaving you when you were at age 5, and you've been searching the world for her. Then you
like
keep finding
old vacation
these little threads.
Spots.
You keep finding all these little threads that you keep pulling on. You make friends in your shady business transaction that can do
and that's where Griffin comes in. He finds this kid jump in from an amusement park and he's like, wait, I saw you in the last spot. And you see him in the background and then all of a sudden this kid says something.
And then you're like, have you seen this woman? You know, shows picture. Don't say anything about it being your mom or anything. And dude's like, yo, bro, you would do best to leave this one alone.
I just didn't like the original character. I didn't feel for him. And I thought if you kept him younger and more genuine, doing kind of annoying teenage boy things like stealing money for that or this and that, it would give him more humanity if you kept him still trying to find family.
I like the finding family thing. My suggestion was actually going to be to toss out all the young stuff. One of the things this movie does, which annoys me, is they have children say sentences that were clearly written by adults. They don't speak like children, they speak like adults. And one of the things that, in my opinion, and you'll see this in my casting choices, is aging up the characters so you can skip a lot of the childhood backstories.
We just did the exact opposite.
And then so David can already be dating Millie, and he's kind of working up the truth to tell her that he has the power. And there's some like comedy you can have there, the lightheartedness. But I would have the movie start not with any of that, but with the actual bank robbery. So you have this opening scene where someone walks into this bank, and all of a sudden it's been robbed, and they go to the tapes, and they see nothing on the tapes. There's not a camera in the vault, but all the cameras outside of the vault show absolutely nothing. But they guaranteed the money was there when they locked up, and it wasn't there when they got there. So there's a compelling mystery, and then that triggers the kind of powers that be, the paladins, to kind of start their search. And so in addition to that, you have kind of Rice and Millie, or David and Millie, their relationship, him trying to come clean about who he is and that type of thing. And then we can kind of skip the kid thing and don't have to worry about it.
So are you saying the paladins are like the Men in Black?
Yeah.
Where they're looking at the tabloids to find the weird things and then tracking those down? Like from Men in Black 1?
Yeah, exactly. Like Michael Jackson looks like an alien. Well, yeah, he is an alien.
Yeah.
Elvis did not die. He just went home.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And so, you know, you can have the mother come in, or you can just have like David kind of, you know, a mistake he did when he was younger and he has all this money sitting around. And like Millie, for example, like he owns the house, right, they live in. You can have Millie be like, this doesn't make sense. This room's like 4 feet shorter than it should be. Yeah. Well, that's his teleport room, right? Like you can have her be suspicious in an interesting way, like
in an intelligent way.
Yeah. Right, like most superheroes, like, you know, the idea of like Clark Kent takes off his glasses and all of a sudden he's Superman, right? You have to like suspend your disbelief. With this one, you know, with this superpower, you can live with someone who has it and theoretically not know. You know, they can live a double life that's actually interesting.
Yeah.
So that's something I'd like to see. But I think either way, we'd both like to change A, the relationship with Millie, and B, kind of the the way the early childhood scenes play out, because they're it just takes too long. You know what I mean? In my opinion.
And that's saying something for an 88-minute movie.
Yeah, yeah. But the first 30 minutes of this 90-minute movie took way too long.
And I agree. The entire love interest portion of this movie was just awkward and annoying. But from a plot device kind of perspective, it needs to exist in some way.
Yeah.
I just think there's many better ways to do it. And I think what you guys said in the last few minutes here just kind of illustrates that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Before we move on to casting, can I say one more change that I'd like to see?
Absolutely.
Perfect. I don't know why I asked. I'm the editor, so I can say what I like and cut or not cut it out. That was polite me asking. I really, really, really feel like, because I'm not a fan of narration most times, and I don't think it works here. But here's something that a lot of films and TV shows have been doing that really works for me, and that is breaking the fourth wall.
I saw your note on that, and
I saw your note, and I thought, nope.
It depends on how you want to do it. Do you want to do a comedy?
I want it to be Deadpool in jumper form.
Well, then
it's
sense.
Deadpool, or one of my favorite shows ever is called Fleabag. It's incredible. It's on Amazon Prime. If you've never seen Fleabag, go watch Fleabag. You guys would love it. Andrea, go see Fleabag.
I just don't see this movie as a comedy. I guess
it doesn't have to be like either. It doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be a comedy. It can be like a narration. You can have some jokes in there, but he can be explaining his story to the camera in that way, which he's already doing with the narration, but now we have a reason for it. Like he can be recording it later on. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Also, look at She-Hulk and what Breaking the Fourth Wall did there.
Oh, that was fantastic.
That's pseudo comedy. Most of it's comedy, but it's not all comedy. Especially the last couple of episodes when she's getting to the big bads and whatnot.
When in She-Hulk, she literally stops the show and says, "No, we're not ending it this way," which I thought, I don't understand why people don't like that show. I thought the first episode was a little rough. Yeah, but it was fantastic. Maybe again, I just love things that break the fourth wall effectively, and I feel like you can put in some comedy here, but you can also keep it serious and still break the fourth wall.
For She-Hulk, that's what they do in the comics, though.
Yeah,
right. But to Pat, correct me if I'm wrong here, but to Pat's point, you can introduce comedy into this movie, and you can do it by breaking the fourth wall.
Arguably, you should. You should introduce comedy to this film.
You're already watching a movie that's being narrated.
Yeah.
Oh, so I don't remember that point. Was there a voiceover? You mean?
Yes.
There's a lot of there's too much voiceover.
Yeah, he's in the middle.
What I'm suggesting by breaking the fourth wall is introducing a narrative device that works better than just telling the audience what is happening to you.
Yes.
Right.
I would argue that you should show the audience rather than tell them, and as we've talked about, show that the kid, having you know what I mean. I don't like a fourth wall break. It doesn't work for this situation.
So when it's show not tell, yes, but there are tons of great movies where characters have to explain something to another character for the audience's benefit, and the fourth wall is just a possible tool that you can use to do that, and one I think that would work effectively here.
I would argue that the first Avatar movie is really a whole bunch of fourth wall breaks in disguise when he's doing his journal entries in the video camera.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
He's basically telling you the bits that you need to know while you're getting a montage sequence of the things he's describing.
In the second one, they do the same thing. He records a camera. He shows a video that he recorded to himself from the first movie that explains what happened between the movies.
Yeah, you're right.
And so he continued making journal entries?
Yeah, he made one in case he died. The villain made one in case he died. And so the villain from the first movie is explaining to the villain of the second movie what is happening if you're seeing this video.
Yeah, so I would argue that there is absolutely a place for it.
Yeah.
And that there are many mechanisms to do it. And I think the movie would be better for it, rather than just dubbing a narration over top, which is what we got.
It's rare that narration works well, in my opinion. Just vanilla narration is always for me inferior. I guess so. Keep in mind, this is especially for you, Nick, when we get into casting, which we should probably jump into. With my casting, I was thinking in my head, okay, breaking the fourth wall, like David Rice talks to the camera, and I've aged up the characters a little bit, so they're in their 20s.
Okay. We'll see how it goes. I have my own picks.
Fair. All right. So with that in mind, let's get into casting. As before, in this round, Nick is going to judge our picks before he tells us his preferred pick. And Nick, since this is your film, judgment. That's correct. Nick, since this is your film, you can pick the order of who goes first.
Pat, we're gonna have you go first.
Okay.
You're gonna be the first one out of the gate. We're gonna put the most judgment on your picks.
Perfect. Absolutely. I'm ready to be judged. So we're doing, just so everyone knows, we're doing David Rice, who's the main jumper, Roland, who is the paladin, Samuel L. Jackson's character, Griffin, who is the sidekick jumper, and then Millie, who is the female lead. Okay, so Millie and David Rice both are connected from another film, but my pick for David Rice is Bill Skarsgård.
Oh, weird.
Skarsgård.
This guy again.
It's almost like you picked him before.
I have picked him before, but when I was thinking,
I think I picked him before.
I think you would definitely have. But I was thinking fourth wall breaks. I was thinking older character. I was thinking someone who could pull off the serious side of it, but also have a little bit of comedy. So, and you'll see why when I picked Millie's casting, it's based off of a certain movie that Bill Skarsgård and her were in together.
So what movie are you picking Skarsgård from?
Not necessarily him from that movie, but the movie is called Barbarian.
Okay, that's because what kind of inspired this,
I've seen it.
So in Barbarian, they do something amazing. They cast Bill Skarsgård because he's always been the villain up until that point. He's been like horror villain, right? The guy from It.
Okay.
And then they make him not the villain. Little minor spoiler alert, but it's basically in the trailer. He's the good guy. He's not the villain. He's just a gentle soul, like nice guy trying to be nice to this abandoned woman in this house. And it's really well done because if you were going to cast a serial killer to be stuck in a house with, you would cast Bill Skarsgård, but he's the good guy.
It was a great movie.
So
so scary as shit.
Killer.
Yeah.
I think he actually has the acting chops to be a protagonist.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
I think you just lost Nick.
All right, who's next?
Reserve judgment.
Yeah.
Who's next?
Amy, what do you got?
So for the role of David Rice, I chose Cole Sprouse. He is from Riverdale. He is also the kid who plays Big Daddy.
He's the kid from Big Daddy.
Wait, that was obviously when he was younger.
Yeah.
He was a child.
I'm keeping him still in late high school, remember?
Oh, okay.
So I'm not going younger, older. I'm keeping him still late high school. The roots. This is the first movie for the sequel.
Okay. All right.
I know. I if you haven't seen him act, then you probably wouldn't want to pick him.
So the inspiration of picking him was from what, Riverdale?
I saw him in Riverdale. He was pretty good. I think he is actually a pretty decent actor. I think has a sweet character in there, but also kind of a little bit edgier, kind of on the wrong side. And also I cast a new mother too, because in my movie the mother is actually kind of more important. So I made him kind of look like he'd be a spawn of another actress.
Okay.
But if this is geared, at least in my movie, towards younger generations, they'd know who this actor is. He's pretty high on Twitter.
You mean X?
Insta loves him.
Insta loves him.
Okay.
He's got like a twin brother that acts too in like a TV series, and I forgot his name. But all right, that was my pick.
Okay. Lady.
Oh, I was hoping you wouldn't call on me.
We were gonna get there eventually.
I've been quiet this whole time. So I would make this film a little darker.
Okay.
And I
DC.
would I would cast Evan Peters as David.
Evan Peters.
He's been in a couple of different roles, but I think you would know him best from X-Men. He played Quicksilver.
Oh,
Yeah.
I like that actor.
But I know he's been in other things where he's been more of a serious actor.
Wasn't he in that horror show?
And yes,
I think he could do a good job of pulling off like a character that's, you know, kind of messed up from having family issues with, you know, his mom not being there and his dad being an alcoholic. A little bit of wit, so he has a sense of humor. And you know, the ability to be, I don't want to say quick on his feet because that's kind of cliche.
He's a jumper.
Yeah, but like,
and in X-Men he played Quicksilver.
Yeah,
like,
he did. You're right.
Well,
he's used to it. He's used to it, guys.
Also in
You like him from American Horror Story, don't
I like
you?
him from American Horror. He played the Ted Bundy TV movie things, and he was also in he was Quicksilver in the Marvel remake of WandaVision.
Oh,
he played the double verse brother because obviously they jumped.
Yeah,
and that was kind of serious.
He is a good actor. I think he would have the chops.
I think that's a good pick.
He'd be better than than Hayden Christensen.
Oh my gosh, way better.
That's a low bar though.
I
think it's fair to say that that's a low bar. Anyways, okay, like the pick.
Judge us, Nick. Judge us.
Do I have to tell you which one I liked best?
Yeah.
He doesn't like any of them.
You can say that, but you have to tell us which one is the least worst.
I kind of don't like them. I like my own pick.
What's your pick?
Well, do I have to pick first or do I
Yeah.
share first?
No, pick first.
Oh man. I do like Evan Peters, but I don't see him in the role for David. I honestly have no real idea who Cole Sprouse is, so I don't honestly know.
Here we go, baby. Say it.
Yeah, but that's like a pity pick. I don't think that's a win.
So, by process of elimination.
Yes.
I like Andrea's pick. I thought that was a good pick.
Well, you're not judging, Nick. Say the words.
I can't say the words out loud. It pains me. So by process of elimination, the one that's left is going to win this one.
All right.
Bill Skarsgård, an underrated actor who has played mostly villains, but I think has got a good, incredible career ahead of him still. Thanks, Nick.
I think we should institute a policy that for the next round, you two cannot pick any of the Skarsgård family.
Did you know when he played a movie called Clark, Bill Skarsgård, he did break the fourth wall in that, and he was a bank robber.
What? That sounds amazing. Why haven't I seen this film?
I don't know. It's really good. It's on Netflix or something.
It's a miniseries.
Interesting.
No, it's not.
It literally says TV miniseries.
Oh, maybe it was. I just watched all of it at once, so it felt like one show.
All right, I'm gonna this looks awesome. I'm gonna give this a shot. It
actually really is. It's like a dubbed
Netflix. I don't want to just subscribe to Netflix.
Is it on Netflix?
I think it looks like a Netflix original.
It was okay, but he did break the fourth wall and he did steal things. So
all right, cool.
Let me see if it is on Netflix.
All right, well. My pick for David Rice was Tom Sturridge, Sandman.
I don't have a clue.
You didn't watch Sandman?
I watched a couple episodes.
Oh yeah, that's a
Sandman.
Oh Sandman. Nah, he's too emo.
Nope.
I think he'd be like a better Griffin kind of character.
Oh, absolutely not.
The problem is I haven't seen him in anything else but Sandman, so I can't. Show. It's same with Bill Bill Skarsgård, right? He's clearly a talented actor, but I'm betting that he's a good actor when he's not a, you know, a serial killer or a killer clown or something like that.
I like Nick's pick. That guy was a really good actor.
He was a very good actor. He went from emo Vulcan to like
emo Vulcan.
No, that's legit. Like how he came off to me. Like he was.
He looked like a bird. He did. He was in a cage.
But like he was an emotionless, just whatever.
This dude has some serious like jawbone defined city, like angular features, man.
Yeah. But no, I think he's good for this.
You know what? I haven't seen him in anything but Sandman, but I liked him in it, so I will agree with you.
Sandman was honestly my impetus for this. I don't want to keep picking the same actors over and over.
So God, if you say Timothée Chalamet, I will kick you out of this house.
It was so hard not to pick that actor.
I thought about it.
I thought it so many times.
And I was gonna pick him, and I was gonna pick his dad as Oscar Isaac. So
oh God,
I'm just kidding.
Next character.
All right, are we doing the same order, Nick?
Yeah, let's go with Roland.
All right, Roland. I've got Daniel Kaluuya.
Oh, interesting.
From Nope. And also many other things, but he's probably most known recently for Nope.
Wasn't he in oh yeah, Nope. I was thinking about Don't Get or
he was in
he was in Get Out too.
He was the treasonous bastard.
Wakanda Forever.
He was in Judas and the Black Messiah, which is a good historical film about basically the FBI infiltrating Black Panthers and other Black civil rights organizations during the time. Really, really good film, worth a watch.
What character would you base Daniel Kaluuya though?
I'm not basing him on any character. I just think he's a good actor.
Oh, okay. You wouldn't make him Nope character instead?
No. So one of the things that I don't like about Samuel L. Jackson in this film, and I love Samuel L. Jackson as an actor, but he's kind of like over the top for no reason because he doesn't have any character motivation. And I think Daniel Kaluuya can play a very stoic person very well.
Stop looking at my picks, Beast.
He can play a stoic character very well, and I think he's got that type of face where he doesn't have to emote super hard to like show emotion, if that makes sense. So
I thought we were picking for Griffin.
No, Roland.
Oh.
So that's my pick.
Okay.
Yeah. I like it.
Oh, he was also in the Black Panther films. I forgot about that.
Yes, he was. He was kind of the like misled treasonous guy in the first one.
Yeah. Oh, he's also in Sicario, which is a fantastic film. If you haven't seen that.
Okay.
I haven't.
It's great. Directed by Denis Villeneuve, guy who did Dune and New Blade Runner and Arrival.
What's a Dune?
Let's move on. Let's move past it.
I feel like I need a week off of work just so I can watch all these movies that we talk about that I haven't seen.
Yeah. All right, so we'll keep the same order. Amy.
Samuel L. Jackson was my one keep pick.
Hold over.
Oh, okay.
I just wanted. I didn't.
He could still do it.
Yeah.
He could. He's still crazy.
He could.
Yeah.
You see him in Secret Invasion, like.
Except I would take out the white hair. I don't get that.
I don't understand that either.
There was like a part where there was like white.
Oh my God!
His face.
I think it was from the fighting. It was like the
paint
the sidewall or something,
or the plaster or something. But it looked like they just put baby powder in his hair.
It's like they screwed up the hair dye.
Like, yeah, that's what it looked like.
It's like they spray painted his head silver, like he was what's his face from Thong Song.
Yes. Cisco.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I think I just hallucinated.
And like it's like they spray painted his head and then some of it got above his eyebrow in one of the scenes.
Samuel L. Jackson plays a good villain. I mean, I didn't really care much to find out his backstory. So I'm like,
I
I
want
keep the
to know
same
the
actor.
backstory, and I think if we
maybe
had,
the organization.
yeah, like why Paladins? You're named something. There's something there. You have a name. Like why are you what you are? And I think if we had that, then I don't think we would have wasted the talent of Samuel L. Jackson like we did in this film. So if we're remaking it with some of the changes that we say, then yeah, I can see that. I can see keeping him. All right, lady. What do we got?
I picked Christoph Waltz.
I don't know who that is.
Oh, you'll know who he is. Inglourious Bastards villain.
Oh, ha 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 ha. That was odd, but I agree. That's a good pick.
She likes it that much.
The bad guy from Spectre.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Although that's probably his worst role.
Okay.
Have you never seen Inglourious Bastards, Nick?
I have not.
I've seen parts of it.
What is wrong? Oh my goodness. What about
My mouth is actually open right now. You can't see
what's
me.
the other one that he's in? He's the good guy in it. Also by Quentin Tarantino.
Django Unchained.
Django Unchained. Have you seen that?
I started watching it and I was like, oh my God, this
Mouth
is
open.
way too much.
So
how are we doing this podcast?
Listen. Inglourious Bastards is one of Quentin, if not his best movie, one of Quentin Tarantino's best movies. It's perfect, and as the villain, he's incredible.
He's also in Horrible Bosses 1 and 2.
Yes.
And possibly the greatest film of all time, The Green Hornet.
But I just I've seen it. I saw him in Spectre, and I saw a little bit of Inglourious Bastards. So I and the way that I'd like to, if I were gonna remake this movie, the way that I'd turn it would be dark, man. Like, I feel like you could talk about a lot of themes about birthright and what you what you're allowed and not allowed to do as far as what belongs to you and what kind of powers belong to God. But I think that Christoph Waltz would be just Psycho. In a better Psycho way than Samuel L. Jackson is Psycho.
Yeah, because Samuel L. Jackson was very driven.
Psycho in a grounded way.
Well, that's Samuel L. Jackson's character. He was very driven but unhinged.
He was very motherfucking snakes on this motherfucking plane.
Okay.
Samuel L. Jackson was not terrifying. Christoph Waltz can play a terrifying villain.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like Samuel L. Jackson was just doing a job. He was just being told what to do by the next higher up.
Okay.
I feel like Andrea's pick is the lead.
I don't know about
the drive.
That. So I'm sorry, Amy, but Samuel L. Jackson, I can't pick that. He's already in here, so it's really down to Pat and Lady. Lady, I don't know. No, it's no contest. You absolutely win.
Wow.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, that's a good pick. He is a fantastic villain. Although the fact that you haven't seen Inglourious Bastards makes me question both your pick and your endorsement of it, but nonetheless, he is a great pick. You should watch Inglourious Bastards. He's absolutely fantastic in it. 10 out of 10.
I've seen some of it. I just didn't get a chance to finish the movie when I was watching it at the time.
All right, we'll have to add it to the list. The ever-growing list.
Fair. Nick, who was your pick for Roland?
Oh, my pick for Roland. Right. We do that part, don't we?
Mine was so good he forgot.
So I picked Sterling K. Brown.
Who the hell is that?
You know who it is.
Oh!
And I'm picking him from Hotel Artemis because if you haven't seen that movie, you need to.
I just saw it actually 2 nights ago. I rewatched it.
Excellent in that movie.
Yeah,
Why does his filmography include Frozen 2?
What's Amy? You watched the show.
I did watch This Is Us, and he is a completely different character in the TV show This Is Us to this, and I respect him as an actor because, besides the face, completely different character. So he's got to be a good actor.
Incredible range. But honestly, I don't know why. I was looking up potential actors for before this that wasn't in my pool of typical picks, doing my Googling and all of that fun stuff, and stumbled onto this actor and was like, oh, I saw him in Hotel Artemis, and that was excellent.
I have never actually seen this movie.
Well, we're adding it to the list because you should. It was a good movie.
It's kind of one of those, actually, you know what, Nick? Hotel Artemis is kind of, it's not great, but because it's so quirky and it has that kind of special sauce, it does what Jumper doesn't, which is stand out even if it's not perfect.
This cast is stacked, though.
It really is.
Yeah.
It is. It absolutely
Who's the guy from Always Sunny that you like? He plays like a not funny guy.
Charlie Day.
Yeah, Jodie Foster,
that was his attempt.
Jeff Goldblum, Brian Tyree Henry, Zachary Quinto, Charlie Day, Dave Bautista.
Yeah.
It's stacked.
It's a good character.
Gonna have to watch it.
It was very good. I think that was another one of those pandemic random Netflix.
Could have been, yeah.
Yes.
Is it still on Netflix?
It is, because I just watched it.
It's on HBO.
Oh.
It looks like it's on HBO, Hulu, and Amazon Prime. So
okay.
Oh, okay.
We'll be able to catch it then.
Yeah.
Excellent. But yeah, so that's my pick.
Hotel Artemis was also a box office failure.
Yeah. It bombed pretty hard. Okay, though that's a good pick. Moving on, then we're doing Griffin next.
Yeah, let's do Griffin.
All right. For Griffin, I've got a pet actor of mine. I don't know if I've ever cast him anything on this podcast, but I always love him in anything he's in. And I kind of wanted someone with a different nationality than David. And I know Griffin is English, and I love that. I love the actor, but I picked someone who's German instead. This is Daniel Bruhl. I think I'm saying that right. Bruhl. You probably know him best as Zemo from the Captain America film. Amy and I know him from The Alienist, which is a fantastic show. And he is one of those actors that I think is just incredible. And I think gets limited by maybe his accent into certain roles in mainstream American films. I forgot, he's also in Inglourious Bastards, so that's another reason to watch Inglourious Bastards. And he was also in a film that I absolutely love called Rush, which is a film about Niki Lauda, the F1 racing legend.
I'm looking at his filmography, and he's been in a lot of stuff.
He's been in a lot of stuff. He's fantastic. Oh, he was in the newest All Quiet on the Western Front, which was good.
And he's in a lot of, obviously foreign language films, so like things in German, French.
He's
German.
Born Ultimatum.
Right, but like
he's probably been in some French movies too.
Yeah, he's in. I think his wiki page says that he speaks like 5 different languages.
Yeah, that makes sense. He started off like he was in one of the Bourne movies. He was in A Most Wanted Man, which is an excellent film with Philip Seymour Hoffman. As he starts off playing kind of just like generic foreigners in American films, and then he's kind of broke through into the mainstream with kind of like the Marvel films.
Generic foreigners.
No, you know what I mean. Like in like American cast films, is always like, we need a guy with a European accent to be our villain. Let's pick from these 5 people. See Christoph Waltz. And he's kind of been one of those. But the show The Alienist, I think, is excellent. Again, just everything he's been in, he's fantastic, and I think he would make a great kind of burnt out version of the a burnt out mirror to the kind of main character.
Okay.
All right. So my pick for Griffin, I chose an actor who's most commonly known for blockbuster Maze Runner, the Thomas Brody Sangster.
Oh, yeah.
The kid from cool. Love Actually.
Love Actually. He's kind of looks like a little.
He's in.
Can I have some more? But I mean,
he's in.
He's in
Tiny Tim.
He's in The Queen's Gambit.
Yes, he is in The Queen's Gambit. He also has been in, I think, a couple episodes of Game of Thrones. but he could do action, Maze Runner. He kind of looks like he's a kid that could be on his own. And like I said, mine is set more in younger age groups. So
yeah, okay.
I think he's a good actor.
He
was in so there's a show called Godless. It was a miniseries on HBO.
He had to have been really young on that though.
No, that wasn't that long ago. He plays like this gunslinger that's like he does all the gun tricks. And then in the last episode, when all the people invade and they have to have like this like Magnificent Seven gun show, he like walks out of the house he's in, ready to like gun down like 20 people, immediately gets a knife thrown at him, which kills him, and that's this whole arc in the show. That's another great show. If people are keeping track of the list, Godless is a fantastic miniseries. All right. If you like westerns.
All right.
Yeah, it's a good pick. I like that. Have a high five.
Andrea.
All right, lady. What you got?
I picked Rami Malek.
Oh.
What has he been in?
So he's in the show Mr. Robot.
Yeah.
He also played, I think that show is no longer
was he
TV.
Freddie?
He was Freddie Mercury.
Freddie Mercury?
Yep, he played Freddie Mercury. Yep. He was
was
also a villain in a James Bond movie.
Yep.
Correct.
And he was recently in Oppenheimer.
Yep.
He was in Oppenheimer, yeah.
He was the one that testified against Strauss.
Entrancing.
And yeah.
Googly eyes.
Again, I wanted to go in a darker route. And like I feel like he could play someone who's, scrappy, going a little cuckoo from being alone all the time, and just
I can see it. Yeah.
kind of willing to do anything and everything to survive.
Yeah, I can see that. My pick, and the reason why I couldn't agree with you for David Rice, was Evan Peters for Griffin.
That's really funny.
So probably for a lot of the same reasons you picked him for David is the same reasons I picked him for Griffin. I mean, if you think about it, David and Griffin are essentially the same character with just different perspectives on the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was my pick.
Fair. And who did you pick for best of out of the three of us?
Oh, I thought I was going to get away.
You don't get out of it. We're keeping score here.
It's honestly a close one between Amy and Lady. And can I pick both for two different reasons?
Nope, that is cheating.
Okay, so I'm gonna ignore you. I pick both with the reason of if I were to keep a younger cast film, I would lean towards Amy's pick.
Yeah.
If I were to age the cast, Amy's pick doesn't quite fit.
I mean, he looks young, but he's like in his 30s.
I don't know. I don't see him, and maybe it's because I haven't seen him in a more mature film, but like I don't see him as a older or mature actor. So that's where I would go back to.
He's cursed with that young face. Even in the Queen's Gambit, he still looked young.
Yeah.
And he played a young role in Queen's Gambit, like high school age.
Oh, did he? I don't remember.
Yeah, the
chess club
guy, right?
Yeah.
Oh, for some reason I thought he was a different.
Chess club guy? No, he was the random New York City basement guy.
Yeah,
yeah. He's the guy. He's the guy with like the leather jacket or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was the literal basement dweller who played chess all the time.
All right. Sorry, lady. I'm going to have to go with Amy's pick then.
I guess.
Yay.
Her pick is cuter than mine.
I mean,
if Nick is going off of that, then yes, Nick is right. He is cuter.
Seeing him in those scenes in Queen's Gambit is really what sold me, because when we meet Griffin 30 seconds in, we're in the basement of like a defunct pyramid or a cave or something. Like, and it's got that kind of basement dweller feel to it.
That's your reasoning?
I don't have a good other reason.
I'm not gonna say I'm gonna sit here and judge you, but I'm gonna sit here and judge you.
Wow, that's harsh. Wait till we do your movie, and you've got to put up your pick.
My movie already happened for this round.
I know.
Did you pick any other characters, Nick, or no?
No.
Don't we have Millie?
Yeah, we're gonna do Millie, right?
We do have Millie. Yeah, you're right. We still have to pick Millie.
So I'll go first again. Millie, I picked Georgina Campbell, who you've never heard of, because the only thing I've seen her in is the film Barbarian, in which she starred alongside Bill Skarsgård. But once I picked Bill Skarsgård, I was thinking, I'm like, oh, that's right. She was pretty good in this movie. And I haven't really seen her in anything else, but I think this is not a huge role in the film, right? Even the part she plays right now, it's not a huge role. So I didn't want some big name in it, or I don't think it needs a big name in it. And I thought she was really great in Barbarian. And she could play do a job in this film as well. So
just because the role isn't like big doesn't mean that like a big name couldn't do it. Like during Wayne's World 2, during the gas station scene at the very end, where like the guy is having this like the old guy at the gas station, the attendant is having this long monologue about the street that he met this girl on, and Wayne is like, I mean, I know this is a small part, but I think we could do better than that. So they like this guy from off camera comes by, takes away the actor, and brings in Charlton Heston, and he like kills it. And then at the end, like Wayne is just like and all weepy and stuff. It's a great. Have you not seen Wayne's World 2 or the first one?
No,
you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. I mean, so it's not that it's not a big role, and it's not that anyone couldn't play it. I just think she is good enough to play in it based on what I've seen. And I'm looking up her filmography right now, and I guess she was in Broadchurch, the British Broadchurch, which was excellent, and his Dark Materials remake on HBO, both of which are very good. I don't remember her from that, but I just think she could do the job, and we don't need like a name to put on the poster for this role, if that makes sense.
I agree. Kind of the role in the original film was really just kind of there to act as a plot device for the main character.
Yeah.
Just any old love interest would do. With our changes, well, in some of our changes, we actually voted to kind of nix the role completely. But
I think you could get away with it and like get rid of the role and make it still a good movie.
Yeah. So I agree. This role is not super important.
But you still want a good actress in it. The original Rachel Bilson, was that how you pronounce the last name?
Yeah.
I know she was really popular in the early 2000s.
She was?
I don't recall.
I think she was in some of those CW shows or something like that. She looked familiar, but I couldn't actually pinpoint what she was in.
Heart of Dixie is what she was in.
I just didn't think she was that great of an actress.
Buffy Vampire Slayer. Okay. I mean, I guess. But I think that kind of speaks to the point that we're making.
She was just a
top
face.
billing person.
Yeah. Amy, who'd you pick for the
My
role?
pick for Millie was Florence Pugh. She was in
Oppenheimer.
She was in Oppenheimer.
Several very important scenes.
A bunch of movies. I think she's a good
kind
actress.
Of old for.
Well,
no, she's pretty young.
I mean, if you're casting it young, though.
Yeah, but I thought she was
I
older.
wanted her to be a little bit older, more like the seniors.
Oh, that's right. You did say that.
But you're right. She probably is kind of pushing it. But I think if you put her in a younger...
She's 27. It's not that old.
She's 27? She looks so much older.
No, I think it's just...
Wow.
She was in Black Widow, Little Women.
Midsummer.
She's Midsummer, which is scary as hell. It's a great movie.
Very old for her age. And I mean that in the best way possible. Like she's,
mature.
Like, I guess.
Okay.
All right.
Who's your pick, lady?
Anya Taylor-Joy.
You're gonna make.
Okay. And this actress was in
The Menu.
The Menu.
A lot of things.
Queen's
a lot
Gambit,
of things.
Split.
Queen's Gambit.
Super Brothers movie.
Yeah.
Super Mario Brothers, I should say.
She is a good actress, though.
She's a good actress. Last Night in Soho is a film that like no one but me likes for some reason.
Liked it.
I thought you were lukewarm on it.
I mean, I guess I don't like it enough.
I liked it.
Pat liked it more.
Yeah.
I guess.
I thought it was actively good.
Yeah, I feel like she would instantly bring some intelligence to the character. Not to say like, I mean, more intelligence. Like I feel like that like she'd do a good job of, like playing a darker, smarter version of Millie. Like, and when I say darker, I mean like the tone of the film would be less fantastical and talk about more serious tones and more serious themes, and maybe be a bit darker as far as like, violence and things they talk about. That's really vague. My brain is getting very tired right now. I'm sorry.
This is actually going to be a hard pick. Because while I agree with everything you just said, that she could perform in the role and bring something to it, I don't believe the role needs it. And the way we were talking about it in Changes, we're actually looking at potentially eliminating the role or reducing the role to like the childhood friendship thing and like ditching the love interest story completely.
I mean, I honestly think she should probably die, because that would give David some motivation. And like that would encourage him to like really get invested and involved in this war between like jumpers and the paladins. That would give him a reason other than just, I'm looking for my mother.
The next thing is the way this character plays and the way that it works. The character needs to be naive and like see everything through like rose-colored glasses, because how else are you jumping on a plane to Italy with some random guy that just walked into the door?
Yeah, but in my movie that wouldn't happen.
And I don't think your character would be able to pull that off. And in your movie that wouldn't happen, so that's a non-issue. That's what makes picking tough.
Yeah,
because your pick is good for the movie that you'd be making, and Amy's pick is good for the movie that she's making.
We all kind of picked completely different movie styles.
We did.
We really did.
Mean, Pat and I are on the same page for most of it, but I like everything that's come out of our discussion today. Honestly, all of them would be better than the original movie. So that kind of makes this tough, because in previous films, when we get to this part where we're trying to pick a recasted role, we're usually in alignment a little bit. We usually kind of agree on which direction we're going to take a story, and don't kind of diverge the way that we've done it in this one. So it's really tough. I think I'm going to go with Anya Taylor-Joy.
Yeah, buddy, 2 out of 4.
Sorry.
Who did you pick, Nick?
I picked Lily James.
Oh, okay, from Drive?
Baby Driver.
Baby Driver, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yep.
That's a good pick.
Not seen Baby Driver.
And I picked her mainly because I can see her as a naive, rose tinted glasses, just kind of follow the lead kind of actor.
All right, let's wrap this up because it's been a while. And let's go on to the last section. Would we remake the film? Nick, you have to go last as per the usual.
All right.
I'll lead. I guess let's go in the same order. I'll go first and say yes, because once again, a movie that could have been good is always worse when it isn't good, if that makes sense. And it always annoys me when a potential is missed. I don't mind. I don't mind
when opportunity.
I don't mind when directors swing for the fences and don't quite hit it. Like Christopher Nolan's Tenet is like that. It's like a swing for the fence and it doesn't quite get there, but I enjoy it and respect it because of that. But this just feels like they tried to bunt and run onto first and then got caught out. So
the analogies.
Thank you. Yeah.
Are you done on
I'm done.
On the soapbox?
On my sandbox. I shall step off of my sandbox.
I would remake this movie. It has, I say this a lot, it has potential.
All right.
I would also remake it. There's a lot of really good stuff. The film's not done in my point of view. Like you didn't finish the damn movie. So yeah, I'd remake it if only to just finish the film.
All right. And Nick?
I agree. It needs a remake. And it needs to come out not just as one film. It needs to come out with a commitment for at least a 2-part or a trilogy.
Or just make it like a 2-hour film. Stuff doesn't have to be a trilogy.
It doesn't have to be a trilogy, but there's too much potential here.